Well, the other day I was watching yesterday, in fact, some press conference Biden was given after he came back, from their G20 or whatever. And it's just so damn pitiful. I mean, here he's got everything written out for him, who he's supposed to call on, what the questions are, and what his answers will be. This should be, a damn straightforward thing. But he struggled. And then, instead of following the teleprompter, like you think he does plenty of experience at, he goes off and starts babbling again. And it was funny because they immediately, it must be a hell of a job to try to cover for that guy all the time. To be a handler. It's got to be a hell of a nerve wracking job because anything could happen. But this time, when he starts that babbling, what they did was start playing some loud music uh, to drown out what he was saying and what the questions were being hollered at him and stuff. It was something else. And then they called an end to it and ushered him off. But it's to the point where they're going to do like they used to do on the old vaudeville shows when an act was bombing. They would have a long hook and they'd grab him and zoop, pull him off stage. That's going to be the next thing. That's tough to watch. And like I say, you aren't going to learn anything because it's just all scripted out very carefully, but then he can't follow the script. But it's funny because I see what they're doing to, like that Kennedy that would really like to run, and the man seems uh, a compassionate individual, and you would think that, my God, he should have a right to run. But the hoops they're jumping through to make sure he can't get the nomination or even get on the ticket, man alive. I mean, it's almost as bad as what they're doing with Trump, the jockeying around, the playing with the damn legal system, and they call that democracy. That's their democracy. It ain't mine. I don't know why they have to be that way, because obviously he's not fit to run. He's not fit to be president now. But when I know, like Newsom, he'd love to go at that. But my God, nobody needs him. And as soon as they bring him up, then they start. Oh, that would be racist, which is a horrible thing for a Democrat to be accused of being racist. That shuts him up right now. Because if he was to run, that would be cutting Kamala Harris off from her great opportunity. My God, like she has a chance in hell. That's a pitiful operation they got going on there. But what they do, that Vivek, whatever that Indian that's running, I don't know. He says a lot of good things, but he likes to hear himself talk, man. He'll go on and on, but I can't see him having a chance either. But yeah, he should have a chance to say something. He should have a chance to run. That's the whole idea. So you just don't shut them people down. But people like Harris, if they want to run, fine, let them run. They can make a fool of themselves if that's what they want to do. but to try to shut somebody else from running against him, against Biden, which that's so crazy that he's even thinking about running, that anybody would even think about putting him, well, even the first time, but this time too, thinking, oh yeah, he's got a record to run on. My God. Oh well, what I'm doing today is scheming. I have to put, I don't have to, but this is something when I tend to do something like this, I keep elaborating on it. I want to put side covers in here. Just some kind of a shield. All the regular ones are, plastic. Older bikes used to be metal. Side covers are good. They protect like your air cleaner and electronics if you have any back there. I ain't gonna have much. I will have an engine vent back there, but it's good to have. So my scheme was to use some aluminum sheet in there. Now I played around with, this is an old road sign, and of course it was full of bullet holes, but them road signs are out of very good aluminum, and I got a few of them laying around, but I decided in the end I ordered some new aluminum. But what I'm trying to do is come up with a aluminum panel. I will weld 3 or maybe 4 attachments around the frame in that triangular shape. I could go 3 and make it really triangular, but I'm thinking 4 for stability's sake and anti-rattle. Now this aluminum, this is from that sign, and I cut it using this, I talked about nibbler. A little pin, a little anvil, water powered. Actually, it does a fairly good job. It leaves the aluminum rough, so you have to cut a little big to be able to clean that up. But it does cut that aluminum pretty damn slick, and doesn't curve edges, like if you try to cut with a snips or even with a saw, you're going to get that rough of an edge. But I've got these quarter turn Zeus fasteners that I'm scheming to use those, and then use a grommet. These go on the bracket, these metal pieces, and then they go in with a quarter a turn, and they lock. And then there is, pressure holding them on. I'm not too sure about, these have got this toggle thing on them. I don't think I need that. I think that would just be a tendency to rattle. But they do have a screwdriver slot in them too. That would actually, you could get them with a dime. And these can be just popped off of there. They aren't under that tight. So you get rid of them. But I think that makes a clean, sure mount. Just requires me to weld the tabs on the frame. But it's like a 1-inch tab to get that bracket in place with a hole big enough that it clips in there. So that when you pop these panels off, the fastener stays with your panel. I like them. And like I say, they're quick to get off. If you have to get out your air cleaner, your carburetor, or any of that stuff that's under there. So I got a sheet of aluminum coming. I decided rather than try to use that old aluminum, for like $30, I got a big enough sheet to do both sides. Aluminum is nice to work with. I have never tried welding aluminum. I don't know how that goes. I know people get good at it, but it can be formed somewhat, and I might feel the need to do a little bit of forming, because rather than just a straight flat piece, the frame does make a turn and it narrows up right here. So it would be possible that I might put a slight bend in it. Just a break line right there that would also keep vibration down. Because that's one thing, if I use thinner aluminum, which I thought about doing, then I would almost have to have the rolled edge to keep it stable. But this is an experiment I'm playing with now. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly I have to do. Then I got to weld them tabs onto the frame and figure out the right distance and how I want to do them. Because I could actually, like here, I could make a triangular piece that goes right in the corner that would actually kind of stiffen the frame up too. Or I could just run a 1-inch bar across. There's a lot of ways I go with that. But that's one of them. Sit and stare at something until you get it decided in your mind. Because I even thought, it wouldn't be a bad idea. The idea of the side pans that keeps water off your air cleaner. It's a good thing to have. It kind of ties the whole thing together. Tie the tank with the rear fender, all one aluminum piece or flow. The only thing I don't want it to restrict cooling air, because now you got that one single cylinder, your air is coming right through here. Well, that ends up you're putting an area back here of hot air, except for what'll go around the fender and what comes up under the seat, and there's enough room there, but that's right where your air intake is too. So another possibility would be make another almost air box under the seat so that you're taking in cold air from there, letting warmer out here. Another possibility to put louvers in the side panels, like gills. Then your air flowing by would be actually pulling that warm air out. And I don't think this stuff would be that hard to put louvers in. I think you could quite easily just cut a slot, bend the louver down. I don't know if I want that gill look, though. So we stare and scheme and plan. But meanwhile, the Democrats are scheming and planning. It's a whole other world they got going. But it's too bad, about Kennedy. They're, they are so against him. I mean, if you hear of the schemes that the National Party is using to make sure he doesn't actually have a chance at getting a nomination, it's really quite impressive. But we saw what they can do before. They can twist that system around, and they're using it on him. In my mind, he'd be better off to run as an independent. I think like him and Tulsi run together, I think they'd get a good slug of votes, because they both seem to be caring, compassionate people, not in it for themselves or for the party. It's interesting, but it's too bad because just the way they treat people, just it's kind of disgusting.